Welcome to another episode of the State of the Bulldogs. Sam, Mike, Jeb, and Grant quad box tonight, fellas. We got the football preview on the heels of the best interview so far with President Beck Taylor. Boys, we got a good one. And Beck, we hope he stays. But what did y'all think about the interview?
Thought it was one of the best interviews, honestly, we've had on the show. Beck Taylor's an incredible orator. As I said before, Sam missed the fact that we weren't recording, so here we are.
That's getting edited out.
No, leave it in.
Are we recording now? I don't know.
Funny.
Yeah, he had all the answers for our questions. And again, shout out to both of them. Shout out to Beck and Martin for reposting our stuff and giving us shout outs on their social platforms. That was cool to see on our end.
Yeah, for the record, we are not affiliated with the university, but we do appreciate it.
I did have some people ask me about that.
Yeah, well, that's why I'm saying for the record.
I said no. It's kind of a side
But if they
thing,
want us to be, the door is open.
Quit the day jobs, but we're getting close.
The door is open. I mean, we would take merch as compensation. But Mike, what were you going to say?
That's what I've been asking for
we can't
2
quite
years.
Quit our day jobs, but we're getting close. No, I think the university's in great hands. That was an incredible interview, and a president like that just loves sports is exactly what we want.
Yeah, and that's what I found so remarkable. He's not the AD, and yet he had a thought out answer for everything we threw at him. We didn't give him really anything to prep. I think Grant, you sent him something like, we want to talk about Samford. We want to talk about Samford sports, whatever. Nothing specific, certainly.
I think one of my favorite parts was when we always used to say, we want Samford to be the next Gonzaga in basketball. And he was like, hey, used to be the president near the school called Gonzaga. And went into that, and he was like, I don't think he goes into like the NIL and why, because of the NIL and the transfer portal, like Samford will never be Gonzaga, nobody will ever be Gonzaga, and his ability to just understand that as not the AD of Samford is pretty cool.
That was cool. It was cool. Also sad that we can't be Gonzaga, that version of Gonzaga necessarily.
The Pepperdine comp is great though.
Hey, Jeb, you're gonna take that one and run with it forever. I mean, all we can do is apologize. You're right. We kind of laughed at you when you would throw things out like that, but I guess it's true.
I'll take what I can get.
Still never been to Malibu nor Pepperdine, but it was a good interview. It's on the heels of another good one. I mean, we were talking earlier, the stats, right now, Coach Curry, we're a softball pod. Right now, Coach Curry is the most listened to podcast other than the first Bucky one a couple years ago. That one I think not sure we'll ever hit the record on that one. But pretty impressed, I think, with the shout outs from Martin and then President Taylor. The Taylor interview was on pace to surpass Coach Curry, but it still hasn't. She's still hanging on, which is kind of fun. But
I'm surprised the tournament episodes aren't up there and like John.
Oh, they are. I mean, yeah, John. Well, John didn't promote it. But yeah, the tournament episode, Jeb, I forgot about that one. That one is by far the most listened to.
And apparently we got a call out on the Paul Feinbaum show, and the Paul Feinbaum show cut us out.
So shoddy.
We still never got the final verdict on that. Yeah, did he? Yeah, whatever happened. Yeah, John, we need an answer on that one.
And John, we trust. Yeah. It's definitely the Paul Feinbaum show that cut us out, which would have been awesome. That would have been. You know what? Forget the Beck Taylor interview. If we had made the Paul Feinbaum show, that's when we could hang it up.
John, this football season, you can make it up to us. Nope.
That's right. Well, let's talk about football. We've been doing a little bit of a deep dive into the roster, or lack thereof, and I think everybody should just buckle up for a season that's probably going to look like last year. So, with that said, let's look at last year's schedule. 4-7, not that great. 3-4 in conference. You almost have to try to be worse. But if y'all remember, we started off the season at West Georgia in their first Division I game, and we gave them a victory. They beat us 39-28 before we headed to Florida. That's enshrined in the Netflix documentary, DJ Lagway's debut, and he looked good. 45-7 L in that one.
Covered in that one.
Great. Then we finally get our first win against Alabama State. 12-7, fellas. 12-7. Fortunately, the Furman game was canceled. We would have lost. VMI was the next week, 27-3. Then a close, tight loss to an ETSU team that ended up being pretty good, 31-28 L in Johnson City. And then we had our big win. We had two big wins of the season. First one, top 10 Mercer, 55-35, offensive explosion, kind of waiting on that, but it didn't come until October 19th. But still, top 10 win, felt really good. And at that,
Two pick sixes in that one too. Noah Martin and Gavin Morris.
That's right. The Noah Martin one was sweet. And I think if I'm remembering correctly, because that Furman game was canceled, we still felt like, okay, this could be a turning point. I think if you go back to last year's episode, we were probably sitting there like, all right, this is the team we thought we were going to have. Here's the turning point. We can still win the SoCon, still make the playoff. No, because we followed it up with an L to the Citadel, 28-11. We scored 11 points on Coach Drayton's Citadel. Sorry, Citadel squad. And then it couldn't get worse. We lost to Wofford 17-13 the next week. And then if it really couldn't get worse, we lost to Tennessee Tech 27-7. Boys, that was a rough stretch before we finally rebounded against Chattanooga, winning 36-13, which was nice, but at that point, who cared? And then ended the season against Western at home on Senior Day with an L, 47-42. So
get used to the Tennessee Tech.
Hopefully not the Tennessee Tech beatdowns. I mean, gee whiz.
That game was a low point because obviously the offense was still struggling. It was raining too, so you're just standing there in the rain watching a team that can't move the ball, can't score. Had a good field possession like into the first half with like 40 seconds left. All your timeouts, you hand it off 3 times and don't even try to go score. And you kind of knew that was kind of the way it had been trending up to that game, and that was a game just a total quit watch on that one.
Yes. And it was, I think the most disappointing thing about last year was, we talked to Josh Mathiasen before the season started. We talked to Luke Byrne. We talked to a couple of other guys. And one thing that we felt pretty confident in was, all right, our offensive line was going to be good and our defensive line had potential to be really good. Now, we had really strong individual performances on the offensive and defensive lines. However, the offensive line in particular was never an asset to the team throughout the season. And probably the biggest reason why we struggled. I mean, Grant, you looked up rush yards per attempt?
Yeah, rush yards per attempt was the second worst in the Hatcher era, not counting the 2020 spring season because that was shortened. Yeah, just some of the offensive numbers. Rush yards per game was third worst in the Hatcher era. That was at 114 yards per game. Points per game obviously was the worst at 24.3. And then pass yards per game, third worst, and then total yards per game, second worst. And these are all in the last 9 seasons, not counting the COVID spring year.
Yeah, that's tough. Now, good news. We lost almost everyone on that offense. Quincy's coming back, a couple other guys coming back, but basically no one else came back. That's the good news. The bad news is the unknown that comes with the young and transfer replacements that will be playing in their stead, right?
The bad news is that everyone's gone.
Well, I think that's good news, Jeff. I think that's good news because
it's the same.
They weren't good.
I think it's probably just a wash.
Well, we'll see. So, all right, let's look at the offense. Obviously, quarterback settled. Quincy, we feel confident in Quincy being able to run the offense. Behind a good offensive line, Quincy can be an absolute dog, right? It's when you get to the offensive line where it gets a little bit tricky. I mean, we were talking about this. You have a guy like Duncan Johnson, played in 10 games last year. He's probably going to start. Tyler Dowdhit, part of that same class, played in 8 games last year, probably going to start. But I mean, when we were looking at this, we have exactly 4 players with experience. 7 total offensive linemen with any kind of experience. No, 6 with any kind of experience. Most of them, though, redshirted at their previous school and saw no playing time, or were redshirted at Samford and saw no playing time. And then we have a few of the Birmingham Southern practice squad dudes. So it's an interesting bunch of cats, right? the guys that I had highlighted, Webb Davidson, he's a Virginia Tech redshirt freshman transfer, did not play at Tech, but he is 6'6", 310. That kid's going to find a way on the field. He was a 3-star recruit coming out of high school. You got to think he can play in the SoCon at some level. I mentioned Duncan Johnson and Tyler Dowdhead, and the other guy, he's 6'2", 305, Crosby Mullins. He was the Mississippi Gulf Coast Community College transfer. Again, the size. Because one thing when you're going through a roster, if they are big, they're freshmen. That's the weird thing about this freshman class that came in. On average, they're 6 pounds heavier than the guys that are older than they are. How weird is that? That the incoming freshman class is on average 6 pounds heavier than the upperclassmen, transfers or returnees. I found that was an interesting tidbit. So like maybe there's some hope in a year or two when these big old freshmen develop, but right now like there's no way that they're going to be seeing the field.
Yeah, it's not good radio, but it's just like a big old shrug. It's like I don't know. We obviously haven't seen that this many guys play. Like it's not great analysis to be like, I don't know. You're asking all these follow-up questions, or people could ask all these follow-up questions. What do you think about this? I don't know. What do you think about this? I don't know. Like it's the whole thing, especially when you go through the guys that we lost. There just has to be some kind of continuity. You got to find your best 5 and roll with that. You did lose a couple of guys in the portal. Cooper Frazier to Southern Miss. Darian King goes to goes to Mercer on the offensive line. So you do have to replace some of those guys. But again, it's just trying to find the right group with the experienced O-line coach who's been with Hatcher at every stop he's ever had.
Yeah, 0 returning starters. Duncan Johnson started, I think, a few games. 0 wire-to-wire starters. 0 every single day starters. It's going to be... I guess one question is, have we seen, I'm trying to think off the top of my head, have we seen anyone develop in the last 3 or 4 years? But the one problem is a lot of these guys have been plug and play transfers. I guess Luke and Chris they were both, or Chris was a UAB transfer. I'm pretty sure Luke was signed out of high school. They turned into good players there at the end. Those were kind of some of the individual performers. DK, good luck at Mercer. I mean, that guy was so much potential, was so strong. He's just not that good at offensive line. And then Cooper Frazier, I don't know how he's going to play at Southern Miss. He was not strong enough for us. But that's what I guess if you want to take the optimistic approach, you say all those cats are gone. We got guys who were young last year who are still here. We got a couple of hopeful impact transfers. And surely they'll be better than the second worst rushing offensive line in the Hatcher era. Surely. Hopefully. Please.
So you got to think, right? You got to think they're going to be better, right? It's like...
Can't be worse. Only one other team was worse.
Have you seen them play? It's like, no, but they got to be somewhat better.
What are you seeing? When you're looking at this offensive line that we have pulled, what do you see, Jeb?
I was really doing like my pre-show notes and trying to put together like
you take notes,
the entire starting lineup,
right.
Really, and like how can you, right? Like,
yeah,
I think I wrote down, for example, at tight end, like someone is actually.
We haven't even gotten to tight end.
Like, that's kind of
what is that?
No, it's just an example. Like my note is like I put no one in there. I just said someone's gonna get playing time here.
Correct.
Just because like. No one has playing time.
It's going to be the true freshman Carson Pick. He's the best athlete we have at that position.
Yeah.
I mean, they got to have somebody out there.
Jeb, you want to go out there?
I mean, give me a...
Probably better than this guy we got from Auburn.
I don't know, man.
You just don't know.
What kind of NIL money am I getting?
Nothing. I hope we're making these Birmingham Southern kids pay full tilt.
This game might look like the Sigma Chi Pi Cap football game from our senior year.
I don't disagree with that. I mean, to give people an idea, we have on the offensive line, not including the Birmingham Southern practice squad guys, we have 3 guys who are older than 21. Redshirt sophomore and below is the majority of our line. 3 guys, and one of them has been with the program his entire career and has never played. Justin Parrott. He's not going to play this year. He's 6'2", 270. The gust of wind can throw him off the line. So, I mean, the line is young. And I think if you're going to be optimistic, and I'm going to choose to be optimistic, that's what you hope in, is they can develop. They are young. That they are going to take a step. But if you're a betting man, it's going to be a long year. It's going to be a long year.
The theme of this podcast, as we cover the football team for the 2025 season, is that this is just a refresh year. This is like we've got new guys in, a lot of freshmen. It's going to be
You can't
bad.
have a refresh year after going 4-7.
So what I mean by refresh is obviously like everyone's gone. Like the only like Quincy's back, but like pretty much everyone else is gone.
Correct.
And there's a ton of freshmen on this team. So like it's just
definitely the most we've had. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just like whatever, call it starting from zero. I don't know, whatever you want to call
A rebuild.
it. But that's what this year is.
To your point, Jeb, they, you know, and Hatcher, when we were at SoCon Media Day 2 years ago, Hatcher mentioned this a little bit when we were talking to him. When you go all in the portal, sometimes it doesn't work, and we know that. We know that across college football. I mean, look at the entire football program of Miami. It just doesn't work sometimes. Sometimes it clicks. It gels. 2022 was a perfect example for us. Everything clicked.
Florida State.
Florida State, right? They go 12-0 and 2-10. We experienced our 2-10 version of that, where we had. I mean, you look at the on-paper talent. We had a lot of on-paper talent coming into the year. I mean, I just dogged on 2 guys that transferred out to not D2. You know what I mean? So there was plenty of on-paper talent that didn't come together. And part of me is thinking, because the freshman class is so outsized compared to years past, that they might just be doing a whole rebuild of how are we going to approach the program in the NIL portal area. And they would rather take, honestly, the Mercer approach, where they took a lot of unheralded young guys, developed them within the program, pray they don't get poached, and go about it that way. And then sprinkle in here and there, we'll get to the defense, but sprinkle in here and there like they did at corner, or this year at wide receiver on offense. So I'm going to take that approach and give this coaching staff the benefit of the doubt. But if they win 3 or 4 games this year, Hatcher has got to be on some kind of hot seat, if that even exists at Samford.
I think it's at best a 5-7 team.
Yeah, we'll go through the schedule in a minute. I agree.
Yeah,
I think 5 is optimistic. I think you're right, Jeb. Because we have 2 bye games. That's automatically 2 L's.
Yeah, basically a 10-game schedule. How many wins can you find in those 10 games? You got it. We'll get through it later, but you have an easy start before you go play Baylor. But again, maybe in a month, like, okay, this guy flashed, this guy this again. Just a whole big shrug, as I keep saying. We don't know, and just seeing how this transition to more of a young freshman team kind of builds up. And again, Hatcher mentioned at media days a lot of freshman guys that have been getting action at running back and wide receiver, which we'll get into. But yeah, it's just what's it going to look like when you have an old quarterback compared with a bunch of young guys he's thrown to.
Yeah, and maybe we see flashes, and maybe especially on the O-line by week 5 or 6, we're feeling pretty good about where they're at. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, okay, we know Quincy's graduating, but if they can bring in a quarterback to play with these guys next year, then we have a real squad. But that's getting a little ahead of ourselves. Let's go to running back. So we've done quarterback, offensive line. Let's talk about running back. Another very young position. We have exactly one guy who's older than sophomore. And that's going to be our presumable starter, CJ Evans, Tennessee State's transfer. He's a senior this year, 180 pounds, 5'8", 180 pounds. I have all of these in inches, which is throwing me off. I got to do the quick math in my mind. But other than that, guys, we have 1, 2, 3 true freshman running backs, 2 redshirt freshmen / sophomores, not quite sure, and then a true sophomore. So very young, very, very young.
Yes. Yeah, CJ Evans didn't get the start, and then Hatcher had mentioned pretty much that whole room, minus maybe 1 or 2 guys, but he has mentioned Cam Bland and Ken Cherry, Bland, the true freshman, Cherry, the sophomore, kind of mixing in that RB2, RB3 kind of group. But yeah, it's going to be CJ Evans running the show at, as you said, 5'8", 180. Started his career at Austin Peay, went to Tennessee State, and now he's at Samford for his final year.
We're returning a grand total of 32 rushing yards. 32 rushing yards. I did write that CJ Evans might have an inflated opinion of himself based on his Twitter profile or his X profile.
Good.
He was claiming all these things that I was not able to verify. Mainly a lot of like All-American, All-State honors and all this jazz, right? his stats. He seemed inflated.
If you don't have confidence in yourself, who's going to have confidence in you?
We just need to be fast, okay? Be fast, hit the hole. Like, I don't care. You're not going to rush for 1,000 yards. So, just don't quit. Like, that's all we really need is we need a fast running back who's going to hit the holes and not quit halfway through our 5-5 season. Because it was fun to beat Mercer and Chat. Those were bright moments last year. Anything else on running back? I mean, there's really not much. There's a lot of unknowns there. In fact, all unknowns except for CJ.
That is funny. You would say we were 24 rushing yards from the running back room. They're 32.
All right, let's get to tight end because you brought this up, Jeb. This is an interesting position. So, when we were talking about the signee class back in the winter, Cannon Pig was a guy that we were all very excited about. He's 6'4", 235. I think he's a 3-star prospect. If I'm remembering, he might not be, but I'm pretty sure that's what it was. And so that was a guy we were like, okay, tight end, this guy might be legit, especially in a tight end room that is, to say the least, unproven. The big transfer we brought in is from Auburn, Grant Hidalgo. I think he was predominantly a special teams player. He's a redshirt junior and did not record a single yard. His PFF score was 57.6. And I think I had to toggle ignore minimum snap requirement to get his score. So we don't really know what he brings to the table. He is 6'5", 243, so pretty nice size. He is from Auburn, so presumably some level of athleticism. But even then, it's Auburn. Like, you don't really know that. And then outside of that, we have another true freshman in David Thidu, a redshirt junior who has not seen the field, Christian Roberts, program guy. And then Vance Nicholas, who was on the team last year. He is returning. He's a senior. He's special teams. Not bad, honestly. Not a bad player. So tight end could be a strength. If Cannon Pig really pops, could be a big strength for this squad, especially if Quincy needs a quick dump off with the rush. But
yeah, that tight end room hasn't gotten a lot of action in the last couple of years. Had Michael Weiss came back from Troy, the flip flop from Samford Troy. He didn't get many targets, maybe just a handful. But yeah, the tight end
got slower. He came back and got slower. How does that
he
work?
did, yeah. He got older, yeah. And Cannon Pig was a 3-star recruit from Mars Hill Bible in Alabama. Had offers from school like App State, Arkansas State, Jack State, Kentucky, North Alabama, South Alabama, Troy, UAB. So a pretty good offer list for a guy with the size. Wake Forest, another team, are 2 on that list. A pretty good offer size for a guy coming to Stanford at 6'4", 245.
It is cool. He's the exciting piece. There's a few exciting freshman receivers. So let's get to the receivers, because this is another position group that there's a little more light than the running back room. Not saying that someone's not going to emerge, but there's a lot more guys who have proven something in the wide receiver space, and then a few more exciting freshmen just on papers. We're returning a few guys, not that many, especially from a yardage standpoint. So returning production. Ray Finson, 93 yards. Teddy Davenport, 34 yards. Preston Bird, 203 yards.
Hey, look
considering Quincy had 3,000 combined yards, not that many, right? But we have Preston Bird's by far the best returning guy. True sophomore, looked pretty good. Had a PFF score as a true freshman of 64.7 to give people perspective. You're a pretty good SoCon player if you're in the 65 to 75 range. You're an elite SoCon player if you're in the 80s. And you are below average if you're in the 50s. So for a true freshman at 64.7, that's pretty good. And then the impact transfers that had production, because that's the other thing. The other weird thing about these transfers, not a lot of them played. They're either young and redshirted last year before transferring, or they're old and just never saw the field. So there's a few caveats. But the 2 guys who we got who had some level of production, Calvin Jones had 249 yards, and Jaden Gibson, he used the UVA transfer redshirt sophomore, had 145 yards last year. But then a guy like Jack Schwing, Southern Miss, redshirt sophomore transfer, 0 production. So, we have a few transfers, and then get this. You all ready for this? We have
count them up.
8 freshman wide receivers. 8. And then we have 3 redshirt freshman wide receivers. That That's really putting like the Y in youth. Like that is wild.
Yeah, another room you had to rebuild. A couple losses. DJ Arias to graduation. Brendan Jenkins to South Alabama. EJ Mason got a JUCO,
RIP.
has a JUCO year. He's at Charlotte. So yeah, Bird is your leading returner with those yards. So the Ian Cousin got injured. He graduated. Ray
RIP.
Vincent had 122 yards last year. That was a couple games. He got hurt as well. He was out for the year. He's back for another year. But yeah, again, rebuilding that room, and again, leads to youth. A freshman that Hatchers mentioned that getting some run. A couple guys in the highlight package they put out the other day got a touchdown or two. So yeah, it's going to be again another room where who's going to flash from that freshman group.
Yeah, the freshman I'd highlighted, Torrey Ward, 6'3", 190, local kid from Helena. It'd just be a good story, but he's also huge, so that's good.
I think Vincent's like a guy to look out for this season. He did have a game. I think he almost hit the 100-yard mark last year. Forgot what game that was.
That was a Jeopardy question.
Was
Sure,
it?
remember
Was
that
he the
one?
Ole
Yeah, it
Miss? Was he the Ole Miss transfer?
I maybe got that
Yep,
one.
he was the Ole
Yeah.
Miss transfer.
Yeah.
ETSU game, yeah.
But yeah, I wrote down like Calvin Jones, Jaden Gibson, Teddy, Davenport, and Vincent, like kind of probably Calvin Jones, Jaden Gibson kind of being up there in the 1 and 2.
Yeah.
You guys called out Preston Bird, but again, those are your guys.
It's pretty, I mean, yeah, it's going to be pretty good receiving.
There's some positivity right there. Look at that.
I hope we're wrong,
Yeah, it's not like we want this to fail, right?
Yeah, we don't want to fail, but there's
As
not a
Sam
whole lot of
said,
data to go off of. That's all I have to say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a
upward
bunch of
momentum throughout the
know.
season. Get guys back next year. It's
Yeah,
about as low
that's
as
on
the
offense.
expectation can be at this point.
That's, yeah, the unfortunate reality, Mike. When we get to defense, we're not as young. There is youth, but the offense is extremely young to where, I mean, yeah, you hope that you see some bright spots. And maybe that's, well, let's get to the defense because maybe that is the silver lining. Like maybe you find enough offense because this defense looks pretty good on paper. I mean, I know they weren't lights out because they were on the field all season, but if you can somehow generate enough offense to give them some rest, it's a pretty good looking D. I mean, we were going through the PFF scores before the show. Noah Martin and Jaden Mosley were the only players in the entire conference at any position to have a score in the 90s, and Jaden had a 91.3. So you could argue he is the best player at any position in the conference. So when you're returning a stud like that, there's always room for hope. But let's get to the defense. So safeties, pretty old. We only have one guy who's a redshirt freshman. Everybody is a sophomore, older. Most guys are juniors, seniors. I highlighted the two Murray State transfers, Keyshawn Washington and Amari Wansley. They were really the only guys to get substantial playing time. LaShawn Young did have 53 tackles at Miles College, but I kind of discounted it because it was Miles. But Keyshawn and Amari had 41 and 57 tackles respectively at Murray State, which production-wise they would be the most qualified to be starting. But again, who's to say? The redshirt freshman transfer is from App State. You always got to love an App State transfer. Trey Linhart. Who knows? He's 6'1", 195. So plenty of size, but this one is the safety room seems pretty set, at least for the first week. If do you have anything else?
Yeah, that is pretty wild to get two Murray State guys coming over that potentially be both your starters. LaShawn's a younger guy, did have 8 picks as well at Miles, so it's just a young player kind of growing to his own. It'll help you have these two kind of older guys to kind of lead him, kind of walk him through bumping up a level. So yeah, some good production, like you mentioned, from Young. But yeah, pretty wild having those two Murray State guys.
Yeah, LaShawn might be legit. It's hard to say because it's Miles.
Yeah, you just don't know.
Yeah, no, I feel better about the defense. Obviously Jaden Mosley, and we'll talk about linebackers, but safeties, feeling pretty good about this room too.
Same a corner.
Nothing else to add really to that. But
yeah, the secondary might actually be a strength.
I hate to get on this route, but
Let's go.
let's go this route. But is it odd that we're on our third defensive coordinator in less than a season, even though we've got all this kind of returning star power, some big name transfers that have committed, and the defensive coordinators that left didn't necessarily leave for bigger and better things.
I don't think it's odd. The one thing I thought that was a cause of concern is when they did leave, they didn't necessarily take anyone with them.
Yeah.
That's always it hurts when
Yeah.
a coach leaves and takes a player, but at least you can be like, well, he was good,
Yeah, and they were moving up a level too. Like Braithwaite's going to be a position coach at Cincinnati, Big 12, obviously. Brandon Cooper was named the DC. He goes over to Troy, which we were DC from 2 years ago. Chris Boone is also at Troy, so they're both at Troy together.
Very
And then you
excited for Coach Cooper to be the D coordinator, and that lasted a week.
Then you got to go bring in Scott Sloan, who was at App State, another App State guy, was at App State before that staff got fired, turned over. He got the job like a week before spring. So it's like, here you go, here's the job, go figure all these guys. But yeah, I don't know if there's anything to take from that other than it's like out of Hatcher's control. Guys take position jobs for more money, but it is obviously strange. I'll say for that 3 DCs in one off season, basically.
Especially when we were talking about the recruiting strategy of Braithwaite last year and how in the portal they were trying to address his scheme and all that. Like, that is just not because we'll get to the D line in a minute, and that strategy is where that's going to shine the brightest. Or the con of that strategy is going to shine the brightest. But at corner, and then let's talk about linebacker. We'll get to corner. Actually, let's do corner and then we'll do linebacker because corner, another area of strength. Very excited about Naheil Perkins. He's getting a lot of offseason buzz. We were pumped when he signed, but he's a grad transfer, all Patriot League signee. He's 6'1", 178, complete stud. And then we return Jalik Yancey, who is also a very good corner. Outside of that, there's a lot of youth, and then a few unproven transfers. So I feel really good about the 2 corners that are presumably going to start, and then excited to see if anybody steps up. I mean, we have 4 true freshman corners, which is crazy. 1 redshirt freshman, 3 redshirt sophomores, but all those guys are transfers, and then a senior transfer, and then Gumbo Gaskins, who is not very good, is a junior. Great name. Maybe he'll be better, but was not too strong.
I feel like
last
that's
year.
a CFB 26 name.
Yes.
Gumbo
Yes.
That it. FanDuel did put out like they're like 3 team, like all team name. He was second all team name from FanDuel.
I mean, it's
Gumbo
a
Gaskins.
fantastic name.
So good. He has to be good. But
How
a
does that
PFF
not be
score.
first team? It's got to be
We're
first
pulling
team.
for Gumbo. That's all I have to say.
Yeah.
The first team's pretty wild. There's some names like if you go, like, I can't even think of how crazy that was. But yeah, a young player came over from Vandy last year. Again, he can still improve. He's still a young guy, being a junior coming over from Vandy.
Jeb, who stuck out to you on this list?
Outside of the starters, like Tremaine Turner.
Redshirt
Yeah.
redshirt sophomore from North Dakota State.
North Dakota State, yeah. I did. So Scott Sloan's App State defense had 15 interceptions last year, and ranked among top teams with 25 total takeaways. So,
And we have 2 App State transfers.
are we back to being DBU like we've always talked about? Hopefully that's the case, right? Because we're sitting here talking about the secondary. We've got a.
Maybe.
You did talk about scheme, Sam, with Scott Sloan. Like, it matters a little bit more with how you're, working your defensive linemen and your linebackers and all that. But I mean, at least like his secondaries have been really good. So
That's exciting.
A school like App State, I'm excited about that. So
Yeah, and you're keeping that same 4-2-5 look at last year with the Braithwaite, a guy who prided himself on a bunch of getting turnovers and interceptions. Same way with Sloan, kind of that same kind of instance. But yeah, we talked about earlier, have talked about forever about how Samford go with the freshman versus the portal. This is the most excited I've been about a portal DB room at Samford in a while compared to the guys that have actually flashed compared to like every other year, just seeing, okay, here's 5 guys, let's try to find spots for them.
For sure. Perkins is going to be a dog. I'm surprised, Jeb. I like D. Newsome, transfer from Jacksonville State. I like it that he's 6'3", 170. That's like having size at corner is such a luxury, especially at this level. Now, I don't know if he's any good. We'll see. I mean, that's what's crazy. None of these guys played. Like Malik Thornton, he's probably the best one, or the most productive. I didn't even put his stats because he played at University of Cumberland, of the Cumberland. I don't even know what that is
what
or
is
where
that?
that is.
It's a D2 school. Don't ask me where, but it's a D2 school.
Well, it's in Cumberland,
Okay.
obviously.
Grant has a Cumberland's T-shirt.
So
Yeah,
like
hold on,
maybe a guy like him could be really good. Who knows? And then maybe some of these freshmen, we got 4 of them. Shoot, somebody can play. It's just covering. Of all the positions on defense, corner is the most straightforward. Don't get burnt and make the tackle.
Yeah, and to Jeb's point, just like the Indian interceptions, Thornton at D2 had 7 picks over his career. LaShawn Young had 8 last year. Yancey had a couple, and Perkins was top 5 in the country in picks too. So you've got guys that have experience in getting those interceptions.
that.
So maybe instead of the Steel City, we're going to be the Pick City. All right, let's go to D-line. Or linebackers. The strongest unit, especially when you're talking about returning talent. Malik Gaither, Jaden Mosley, Gavin Morris, all guys who played a lot of snaps last year. Jaden, 75 tackles, by far the most returning production on defense. And then Gavin Morris, guy he was Penn transfer, right, guys? One of the Ivies.
Yeah.
Had a really strong year. The PFF score is 78.9, so that's putting him in the above average to really good range for SoCon players. And then Malik Gaither, going to be a graduate senior. He knows what to do. Feel really good about the linebackers. And we even have a few young guys. We signed 1 true freshman, Isaac Chapa, and then we got 2 redshirt freshmen. And then we have an interesting guy, a redshirt sophomore transfer from Southern Miss, Jacob Johnson, 6'2", 230, had 2 tackles at Southern Miss, a 60.5 PFF score. Gives me a little bit of hope considering that's in the Sun Belt. Presumably can take a little bit of a jump up, but didn't play that much. But there's a lot more to feel good about in the linebacker.
Yeah, another guy, Northwest Mississippi JUCO, Kalen Dunn. I know is JUCO, but has had 105 tackles and 4 sacks last year. So
yeah, I didn't put the stats on that guy either because again it's community college, but still, that guy could be a freak. He's 6 foot 225, so he's just all mean because that's pretty small to be having that many tackles. How do you say it?
And it's Colin.
Caulin. Caulen. That would be fun. He'd be really fun if he turned into a stud. All right, D-line. This is where it gets real interesting real fast. It's a very similar conversation to the O-line with a little caveat. Conroy Cunningham, top 3 D-end in the league last year, according to PFF, is returning 27 tackles, graduate senior. So that's fun. Like, we got him on the line. We know he's a stud. It would be nice if we had Johnny Johnson back too, but we don't. Those was a pretty good duo last year. But instead we have a ton of unproven talent. We have a litany of freshmen. We have, five true freshmen D-line, which is crazy. 5 true freshmen, 2 redshirt freshmen. Conroy is by far Conroy and Deuce Caldwell, who had 4 tackles last year, are the old guys. And Maxton Woodward, who is honestly just too big. He's 6 foot 336, had a PFF of 34.8, and recorded exactly 0 tackles last year. He's our only guy above 300, which is a problem because he's not that good.
I like Jackson Bussey.
Yeah.
Because this is another App State guy. Sloan's obviously bringing in some App State guys here. We see a lot of App State guys coming in. He was a 3-star recruit coming out of high school.
That's pretty high.
So he went to App State. He's sticking with his defensive coordinator.
You like
he's
that?
Coming to Samford. He's one of the bigger guys, right? He's not 260 plus, right? But he's still 240. Young guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he can develop.
Mm-hmm.
But something to look out for.
I like that. Jackson Bussey. Hank Weber is the other guy we like.
Yeah.
3-star, Wisconsin.
Nashville kid.
That's right.
Yeah, he played at Broward Academy. So if you play at Broward Academy, you gotta be good,
Well, it means you're probably bad, but yeah. I forgot about that.
Family loaded. Though.
I mean, Mike, when you're looking at this D line group, what do you see? I mean, I see a lot of names. I see a lot of players. I don't see a lot of tackles.
No, it's the same thing. I mean, yeah, maybe some decent transfers. You got a couple of former 3-stars playing Power 5. I mean, Hank Weber, pretty good high school player. Like I knew that name from the Nashville area. He's from Franklin.
He's big.
Big boy, yeah. But it's kind of a bummer we don't have some of the guys from last year because it seems like our secondary, which was not good last year, is going to be maybe a little bit better. But we've lost everybody on the line, so it could have been the missing piece. But shoulder shrug, as Grant said.
It's hard to say on the interior. It seemed like a weakness, even though Mathiasen we know is a very good football player. It seemed like a weakness last year. I don't know why. Some of that is due to our scheme. Some of that is due to, maybe our secondary was getting burnt so much we had to drop back into coverage, and they just would take advantage of that. But the one thing that really sticks out in this is we don't have any size, a substantial size on the D line that's good. Maxon Woodward, we know who he is. He's a senior. Like, could he come out and shock us all? Of course, but he's probably just getting washed on the line because, 336, that seems really awesome until you realize there's this thing called inertia. And once you get that sucker moving in one direction, you can keep moving him forever. The next heaviest guy is 270 pounds. You go to UTC's roster, and you're like, oh, this is pretty similar until you realize there's like 3 guys that are about 300 pounds, which is where you'd want your D tackle to be. So that's the obvious concern. Other than that, it seems like we'll have some pretty decent edge play. And maybe a guy like Deuce Caldwell, who is 270, maybe he can kind of take a step up. I mean, he only had 4 tackles last year, but I mean, you're really looking at a guy like that because once you get past him, who else are you sticking in the middle of the line? Hank Weber at 263? I mean, that kid's getting mauled. UTC's interior line is all above 300 pounds. You're right, Joe.
It's not all about weight.
You're right. But more weight with power equals success.
Oh yeah, no, 100%. I mean, I don't know what the lines of, Chattanooga.
They're big. They're big.
Right, they're big. So they're all probably 300 plus.
Yeah, most of them. Yeah. Western huge.
Something to think about. You can look at our O-line and get a comparison, but our O-line's probably smaller than.
Yeah, the average for the non-freshmen was like 283 or 284. But the freshmen are huge. They're like almost all 300 pounds. It's crazy.
I don't know. These guys are going to have to get in the calf. That's all I got.
Yeah. The D-line needs to eat, brother. They need to eat.
Yeah. Should we, I don't know, send them some State of the Bulldogs branded ramen noodles or something? Get that.
Some rice packs.
Yeah. Just get the carbs.
Jars of peanut butter. Yeah, we'll see.
Sticks.
All the shake.
Oh, the other transfer I didn't.
All the shakes, all the smoothies.
Donovan Grayson, 6'3", 240 redshirt sophomore transfer from West Virginia. Now, redshirt sophomore, never seen the field, but again from a West Virginia program, which is not terrible.
Country road.
It's not
Take
terrible.
me home to the place.
I mean,
I belong.
I don't see any of these true freshmen getting on the field. I mean, we're talking about weights of 215, 229, and these are roster weights. These are inflated. Like, these are lies. So who knows what they actually weigh. Nate Carter, he is 265. Maybe you stick him in the calf for a couple weeks and then he can play in the middle of the defense. But that's the biggest question mark to me. What is the middle of the defense going to look like?
It's good to see Project Samson's really helping us.
What happened? Is it to the linebackers? Are they the only ones who partake?
It's all going to that one kid. 336. Woodward, he's doing.
Woodward has been skipping Project Samson. He's been going to, I don't even know, 336. That's a feat. It's 6 foot too.
We're going for speed over size. We're going to see if that works.
It can work. Speed D and the FCS level can work, but are these guys fast, Grant? Got to be fast. Can't just be light.
We'll see. A lot of them are freshmen. Give them some time if they stick around.
Yeah, we are young on the D-line.
Nate Carter's pretty big though for a freshman. I know we probably talked about that, but he doesn't have that much far to go.
No, he was the guy I joked about just few weeks in the calf, he might be able to play D or the middle of the D.
Like, we're coming out with the State of the Bulldogs protein powder. It's got like all this carbs and
That would
protein.
be so good. Oh,
These guys will be
it is.
anchoring down that D line.
It is.
With that protein powder.
It's interesting. We signed a lot of freshman corners and a lot of freshman D line. I really do think that the coaching staff has taken a strategic shift, but I think it's also telling that they think they can afford to take a strategic shift, because when you look at Coach Hatcher's career trajectory at every single stop he's been at, it just gets worse, worse, and worse. And considering that our winning percentage last year was .364,
good batting.
how do you get worse than that? So let's get to this year's schedule. It ain't easy, especially the 2 bye games, but we do start off with West Georgia, the next star game. Thank goodness we get to get that out of the way. That is on Thursday night, 6:30 kick, firework game. Always my favorite home game when we were students. And then we go to Citadel. So if we can start off 2-0, feeling good. Those are 2 teams we lost to last year. So probably looking at a 0-2 start just based off of the momentum. Then we go to Baylor. L.
Win.
L. Then we go to Western. Probable L. And then we have Furman at home, family weekend. It's a blue out. You never know. We don't like Furman. And who knows? Maybe by this point, that's what? Week 5. Maybe by this point, the offensive line has found itself. And we have some semblance of a running game, which allows Quincy to get the passing game going, which allows our defense to rest, and we start playing complementary football. Let's hope that's the case. That's the optimistic take. Then we go to Mercer. Well, let me stop there. So we got West Georgia, Citadel, at Baylor, at Western, and then Furman. How are we feeling about that?
Sucks. Furman sucks. You have to start 2-0. West Georgia, Citadel at home. 2 of your, we said this last year, but 2 of your easiest games of the year. You have to start 2-0. Baylor, Western's got Taryn Dickens back at quarterback, so that's tough to win up there. Again, it comes down to Mercer. We do have a football game on family weekend. Shocking how that works out this time. So yeah, we'll see what we look like coming out of September. But you got to start 2-0 because if you don't start 2-0, that's quickly you're staring at 0-4 or 1-3 if you drop one of those 2.
I might be getting ahead of myself, but West Georgia, loss. Citadel, win. Baylor, loss. Western Carolina, loss. Furman, loss.
I think we beat Furman. Otherwise, I'm on board with you. I think we beat Furman. I think the 3 teams that if you want to have any shot of the playoff in winning the SoCon, the 3 top teams, Western, Mercer, Chattanooga, maybe ETSU 3.5. Like, we don't know. Maybe Cade McNamara really is just terrible at all levels of football. We can pray.
Should be sick.
It would be sick. But if it turns out to be really good, those are kind of the 4 teams you're looking at that you have to beat. It should be a slugfest. Like, it should be a pretty competitive top portion of the league. So if you can find a way to get 2 wins out of those 4, you're sitting pretty. So you got to beat Furman. You got to beat Furman. You got to beat VMI. You got to beat Citadel, and you got to beat Wofford. Those are your must wins. After that, you can start losing, but because we will lose. But the problem with that statement is I just don't think that's even in the cards. So Jeb, you had a win against West Georgia, or a loss against West Georgia, a win against Citadel, loss against Baylor, and then a loss to Western and Furman. I mean, that's a brutal start. That's 1-4.
I feel better
so
after
hard.
looking at the defense.
Yeah, the defense is
Well,
good. Well,
with
Can't lose to West Georgia again.
offense being so young to start off with Citadel, our SoCon schedule starting off with Citadel, like, it should be a dub, but first SoCon game, some of these kids are 18 years old.
yeah.
I don't know. I'd rather have Citadel and VMI later in the season to try to salvage a couple wins, when we've got a couple games under our belt.
The fact that we have to be well seasoned to beat Citadel in your mind is so sad, and I think you may be right.
Well, have you listened to the last 55 minutes of this podcast?
Yeah.
I don't see us losing the first 2. I think we win the first 2. I think you.
You think we beat West Georgia?
You think we beat
Yes,
West Georgia?
dude.
Yeah,
If there's
you beat West Georgia, you beat Citadel. If you can't beat West Georgia again, then we just need to pack up and tell Lenny, can we start basketball early?
if there's one thing I remember about that game last year, the physicality at which they played defense. They are going to eat our offensive line alive. They are
We're
going
not
to.
losing to West Georgia.
We lost last year, brother.
This is
But we're not
deja
losing
vu,
again.
man.
We're not losing again to West Georgia. I will bet my
We don't play.
whatever on
We
that.
don't play that style of football. We are not a. No one has ever looked at Samford and said we play physical. The only team that might have ever said that was North Dakota State, because that was the only time that I was like, wow, that's a physical football team.
It's cold.
So yeah, I wouldn't feel good about West Georgia.
I'll bet whatever y'all want that we beat West Georgia.
All right, I can flip the Citadel game and the West Georgia game and say we win against West Georgia, we lose against.
Well, we would all rather beat Citadel's conference. We don't care about West
Right.
Georgia. So keep your original prediction, Jim. We like that better.
Yeah, Grant's just throwing heat.
All right, so once
so-
we go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say, Grant, what do you know about West Georgia that we don't know? Because
Obviously.
it
I know
sounds like the same conversation we had last year.
I know absolutely nothing other than it's at home. That's the only reason I know that we can win.
That matters. Why?
Okay.
It just matters in football. Why, I don't know, but it matters.
It was still only a one-score game last year,
It was such an annoying game. We should have won by
but it
30.
was an annoying game.
We should
But,
have won by 30.
Quincy- I don't think we're putting enough emphasis on the fact that I think Quincy is going to have a good year.
He is. He was the highest rated
he could-
quarterback last season in the league.
He could carry us.
Yeah, he could. And with
I've actually heard that on the podcast before.
With these-
we've totally said that.
with these weapons, he's certainly there. I think there are arguably more. Now, obviously, DJ was really good, really strong receiver. But it seems like that there's more potential for weapons this season, especially with some of the freshmen that are exciting. But we'll see. I mean, Brennan Jenkins, we loved him. He never shined as like a game breaker receiver.
He almost regressed last year.
Yeah, like Kendall Watson kept getting better and better and better, and then he was just a game breaker by his fifth year, right? That was not the same trajectory we were seeing, but who knows? Maybe there's a lot of other things that could be going on. All right, so we get through Furman Family Weekend. Some of y'all were 1-4, others were 2-3. I bet we're probably 2-3. So then we go to Mercer. That's an L. They are most likely going to repeat as conference champions. We go to VMI. Rocco's got those boys playing hard. Might be another L, but please let's beat VMI.
They suck.
We do have Chattanooga then at home. So pretty tough stretch with Mercer and Chat in those 3 weeks. We do have a bye in between Mercer and VMI, or an off week. Do we go 2-1 in that stretch? Do we go 0-3? I mean, there's a world where we go 0-3, and there's a world where we go 2-1.
I think we go 2-1.
Okay.
And on that note, I need to drop.
Thank you, Jeb.
I'll see you guys.
Yeah.
2-1, 3-0.
Between Chat, Wofford, and ETSU.
Mercer, VMI, Chat.
Oh.
This middle portion.
1-2. 1-2.
Let me see. Who does
Is
VMI?
Chase Archopius back?
No. That's Chattanooga's big
Who's the-
question mark,
who-
is quarterback.
Who's their quarterback?
That's the question mark. They return a lot. They return their I think they do return their best receiver. Their offensive line's pretty good. Defensive line's pretty good. But quarterback is probably the only thing keeping the media from projecting them to beat Mercer. Because Mercer and Western bring back their quarterbacks. And DJ Harris is very good.
Yeah, again, you got to go 2-1. You got to beat VMI, and I mean Mercer, their defense is legit. So unless the offense has taken a complete 360 back to the hires at Devlin Liam days, you're probably losing to Mercer the way how many guys they return. Then you get the bye week before VMI, and then Chat at home. But that Chat game's gonna be tough. I could easily see 1-2 in that stretch. But again, you got to be 2-1.
Yeah. I feel better about this last stretch. So the last 4 games, we go to Wofford, dub. We have ETSU at home, dub. We have to get revenge on them. That was an atrocious showing last year.
We had them. We were the better team that game.
Yep. And then we go to Austin P, should be a dub, before we wrap it up in College Station in an epic game against the Aggies. Bucky will not be on the other sideline, but still close enough, right?
We'll take the check. We'll
Yeah,
take the
let's
2 checks for him,
collect
for
our
him
2
and the game.
checks
Yeah,
and collect our 2 checks and give it to basketball.
yeah. I don't know where Austin P. They've had some good years during the UAC, right? So who knows about that conference? But we know it's not that deep or that strong. But
They have a lot of top end talent, but yeah, it's not a
Mhm.
very deep conference.
They've been decent the last few years, or kind
Yeah,
of up and down. But
yeah, they've gotten better over the last few years. Let's see, Austin P picked to finish 6th in the league behind Central Arkansas and ahead of UNA, so somewhere in the middle of the pack.
I think isn't the UAC rebranding? Aren't they combining with they already combined. I know it's already 2 conferences combined, but I think they're doing it again. But I don't know.
Yeah, I want to say it's next year. I forgot what they're doing. Oh, them in the WAC. Yeah, next year
The
with the WAC.
WAC, yes.
Yeah, so they're gonna have like a football division, and then they're gonna have a basketball with the ASUN and those teams.
That's right. It's the ASUN basketball conference.
Yeah, it's
That's joint. Their football teams are going to the new WAC UAC. It's a whole mess, and I can't remember. If I remember right, it's essentially the ASUN saying we don't play football anymore. We're just a basketball, effectively.
yeah, basically.
So anyway, so we're at Wofford. We've got ETSU at home, at Austin P, at A&M. I feel like we're 3-1 in that stretch. Like I think we end the season strong. But that's after going 1-2 in that middle stretch, and then 1-4 in that other stretch. So what are we in? What was that? 5-7?
Yeah, it depends what you're getting or what you're giving them out of the first 2, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't see a SoCon championship in this team, which sucks because we do have the best quarterback, the best linebacker, probably the best corner in the entire league. So that's tough, and maybe even one of the best receivers. We don't have the best receiver. I think Mercer still has the best receiver, but we're gonna have some good ones.
So for playoffs, if let's just say you had to get there, how many wins do you think you need of our 10-game schedule? Basically, you would need 7, right?
You need at least 7, and that's an at-large bid.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking at large because I think Mercer or Western's going to run away with the conference.
But the problem is, one thing that helped us last year, or that helped us be on the bubble, what was it, 2 years ago? We had top 10 UT Martin, who we beat.
Yeah.
Austin P is not going to be top 10.
That's true, yeah.
So down the stretch, maybe an ETSU and a UTC are your last chances to impress the committee. But there's no marquee non-conference game. West Georgia is not going to be top 25. So you're kind of giving up with the money. For the money, Baylor and A&M, you're giving up that one other opportunity to beat a top 25 non-conference opponent, which may hurt us. Frankly, it may hurt us.
Yeah, for the money, you got to win the home games and then steal one on the road, basically.
Yeah. So the road games, outside of the pay games, Western Carolina, Mercer, VMI, Wofford, Austin P. You got to split Mercer and Western. One of those is a win, and everything is on the table.
Yeah, that'll definitely be a marquee win if you take one of those 2 for sure. Yeah.
So we'll know if we have a playoff team or a potential playoff team by October 4th, and we'll know if the season's over by October 4th. Because at that point, what's crazy is we will have played 4 conference games, which is wild. We're halfway through the conference slate.
Yeah, that's why you're done with conference by November 8th, because obviously you got the two to finish.
Yeah, it's weird how it kind of shook out with 2 non-conference at the end, non-conference opponents.
I hate that. I mean, it kind of takes away some of the fun at the end of the season.
It does, unless we have a really good conference season, in which case it helps us rest up. Because we got a lot of freshmen who could see a lot of playing time against A&M.
So is A&M, is that their last game against us?
Yeah. No.
A&M
you
before
have
they
Thanksgiving
play Texas.
on Texas.
Yeah.
Texas on Thanksgiving weekend.
Oh, I gotcha. I thought that was Thanksgiving weekend.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah, Thanksgiving's the last week.
Year.
And then that will be their last game because they won't be bowl eligible, much less playoff eligible.
Not when they lose to us.
That's right.
Who's Texas A&M's backup quarterback? Because I can guarantee that he'll probably be playing by the Samford game.
I don't know.
And not that it matters.
You're not a believer in Marcel Reed?
He's gonna get hurt eventually.
He went to NBA. He can't be good.
He has to be great.
I know it's not Connor Wigman, but it doesn't matter. But at this point, but
All right, so final thoughts. We'll talk more about West Georgia specifically next week in the conference as a whole. But Mike, thoughts on the season, thoughts on the roster, thoughts on our prospects.
Ever since the championship season a few years ago, we've kind of gone into every season with, I think, high expectations, thinking we can repeat. This is 3 seasons removed from that, and I think we're the exact opposite of thinking we are going to have a terrible year. So I think it's kind of exciting. A lot of new faces, a lot of potential big names, some freshmen coming out of high school that could be 4-year, Samford players, which you don't really see these days. So I think just go in with low expectations, hope for the best, and just enjoy getting to know some new faces.
Low
Hopefully they
expectations
surprise us.
for sure. I mean, you can only take so many. Oh, this team's going to be. I guess this is my annual rag on Coach Hatcher's "Be Ultimate" saying, which is the dumbest slogan ever, and essentially takes all accountability off of the coaching staff.
We're the best version of ourselves that we can be.
Exactly.
If that's 0-12, then
That's
then
0-12,
the
baby.
best
We were
can
the
do.
best we could be. Well, be better. Grant.
be better. Jacob Zeno is Aina's backup quarterback, the former Baylor UAB quarterback.
Dude, I think he played in the Big 12 championship.
He did. He replaced who was it that got concussed?
Turner.
Was it Brewer maybe?
Brewer? I don't know. Baylor's had
Yeah, who knows?
so many quarterbacks.
Yeah, Baylor. They're going to beat Auburn on that Friday before they lose to us. Yeah, it's just a bunch of those young guys, right? What young guys flash again? We'll see what the season comes up being once we get past September. That West Georgia Citadel Baylor Western Furman matchups. Yeah, it's just who's going to come out of that group, and we may be pessimistic now because it's basically like, again, I keep saying it's a big old shrug. We don't know. So many new faces, 4 returning starters on both sides of the ball combined. You have a senior quarterback, which helps. I thought it was funny that Quincy did tell us that all the young receivers call him Unc because he's so much older than
It's
them.
hilarious.
So I thought that is pretty funny. So again, which one of those young guys mesh with him, and a lot of those new faces does Bird take up another level? Which one of those freshmen between Ward and Bookman pop up? But again, the defense will be solid. Just the offense I might need to have some coming along with, especially with the youth on that side of the ball.
Yeah, the unfortunate reality is if the defensive line is not any good, it's not going to matter how good our secondary and linebackers are. Because if you can get 4 yards a rush and have all day to throw, you could have, Ray Lewis at linebacker, and you're not going to. Yeah, I think, Mike, to your point, we were coming off the championship win in 22, playoff appearance, felt good. We're like, oh, we got all these transfers this year. We can do it again. Recipe seemed like, okay, you get a few athletic D linemen, get a good quarterback, let them play on the O line, doesn't really matter, and then you have a couple fast corners, receivers, you can be competitive. Problem, a couple SoCon programs are legitimate programs who are not fly by the night transfer operations, and it looks like we're trying to get back to that point. But I just think we're just sober Samford fans now. I think, the high is definitely gone from that 22 season, and the lasting effects of optimism are also out the window after a 3-win campaign last season. So, or 4 wins. But this is the ultimate you'll have to prove it on the field team. I'm looking at a 3-win team. So we'll see. Would it be awesome if Quincy did not go out on one of the worst offensive lines and defensive lines in school history? But it's hard to say that
for
won't
Quincy,
be the case.
Like, I'm just hoping that some of those guys on offense can come together and give him the tools that he needs to succeed, because ever since we saw him flash, in the in the overtime game against Mercer, we've just been on the Quincy train, and hasn't come together, not because of him necessarily.
Yeah, no. So with that, everybody, let's get excited. We got West Georgia coming up, and we got the preview show next week. But it could be a long season, but basketball's not too far away. But with that, the State of the Bulldogs is out. Go Dogs, and preview next week.